Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I actually want to do something a bit different. Lately I've been doing a lot of complaining about stuff that infuriates me. So today I actually want to do something a bit positive. I actually want to talk about one of my favorite artists and a huge inspiration to me. And he's the artist known as Drew Struzan. He's the guy who's responsible for the really cool hand-painted movie posters that were actually quite popular around the 80s, late 70s, 80s, and sometimes early 90s. If you look at his work, you'll clearly see why it's so good. I mean, he has such an attention to detail, and some people have actually confused his works for photos. And it is so incredible, the stuff he's able to do. There's a small backstory on Mr. Struzan. Is born on March 18th, 1947, in Oregon City, Oregon, USA. He actually got his start doing album covers for bands such as the Beach Boys, Alice Cooper, and even some prolific singers such as Liberace. And this was in like the early 70s. This is when photos were still a thing, but they weren't as widely used when it came to mass production as it was in things like newspapers. He actually got started in movies somewhere in the mid to late 70s with really cheesy B-movie stuff such as Empire of the Ants and The Food of the Gods. Real super outlandish sci-fi stuff that you'd probably be watching if... You'd probably watch it and think to yourself, wow, the writers were on a lot of drugs doing this, and you know what? It was the 70s, so there's a 90% chance that was probably true. But he reached peak fame around the late 70s and the 80s when it came to, when movies were starting to really dive into science fiction plots. And when I look back to it, not that I lived in that time frame, but I used to rent a lot of movies, and a lot of the time I rented a lot of old movies, and I really enjoyed like 70s and 80s science fiction stuff, like Logan's Run and Star Wars, obviously. He actually became super famous for his works on the movie posters for Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Back to the Future, and Blade Runner. And if you look at his work, it is amazing. I mean, the way he uses tone to really set the mood of a poster, the way he how he uses composition to make sure you know who the main players are in this movie. It's really cleverly done. And I actually want to give a top 10 posters, a top 10 of what I think are the best posters in my opinion. So let's start with number 10, and I'm going to have to go with Blade Runner, mostly because of the fact that he uses Harrison Ford's character Deckard twice in it. I don't really think that's a good idea, but you know what? He'll do him, I'll do me. I mean, it's a nice... I like how he uses the warm tones to show the good characters, or well, it's a Blade Runner, you don't know exactly who's good or who's evil, but I like how he used the warm tones for the main characters who are supposedly good, and cold tones for the antagonists. I thought that was really cleverly done. Something I think I should actually use for in the future. At number 9, it's Hellboy. Okay, one of the more recent works. Okay, not recent. I'll get back to that in a bit. No, actually, no, I won't. I'm choosing Hellboy because that's not exactly the most inspiring when it comes to composition, but it's still interesting enough. I mean, I was debating whether or not to do Hellboy or Harry Potter, but then again, Harry Potter it's not exactly that exciting. So I have to go with Hellboy, mostly because it does have the same tonal themes as Blade Runner. The main characters, or the good guys in this sense, are done in warm tones, where the bad guys are done in cold tones. So that's pretty clever. And then we go into number 8, which is Attack of the Clones. Okay, I put this one as number 8 mostly because it has Jango Fett, and I'm a sucker for the Mandalorian armor. But also, again, it has the same idea. The warm tones for the good guys and cold tones for the bad guys. But also, I really love the composition of this because you see Padme and Anakin holding each other in a very loving embrace. And I think that's really powerful. And then you see very, very small in the center of the poster, you see the clone army, or I think that's a droid army, kind of approaching on. I thought that was very clever. And I also like how they use Obi-Wan and Yoda in a very stern look, as if something ominous is about to happen, which, it does if you've seen the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, well, I think you have homework to do. And then at number 7, we have Hook. I put this one at number 7 because I feel like there's too much going on, but in a way, maybe that's also its strength. Because you have this nice little sort of spiral effect where you go from Robin Williams to Dustin Hoffman all the way down to the crocodile in the clock tower. I think it works well because your eye kind of spirals around those figures all the way down to where the title should be. It's overall a good idea. Then at number 6 we have E.T. I give E.T. 6 because it's pretty basic, but I mean in that sense that's its greatest strength because we have just the main character E.T. in his iconic bicycle basket seat. Pretty simple. You see the main deal. He's an alien, and obviously he's going to have some interaction with a kid. So that's pretty it's pretty basic. For number 5, I went with Big Trouble in Little China. It's a movie starring Kurt Russell. It is a very funny, but also very action-oriented film. And I put this at number 5 because, well, it's not as serious as the others, and that's also its strength. And yeah, it's got a lot going on, which is also its strength. And also, when you see it, you're very confused as to what the hell is going on. You have, obviously, Kurt Russell, badass of all time. And he's about to fight a whole army of ninjas. He's got to save a girl. It's a whole lot to take in at once, but you know what? It's fun. It still has that nice epic feel to it. So that's why I put it at number 5. At number 4, I did Rambo. And I did this because it is, much like the E.T. poster, pretty simple, but really cool. You see the main character, and he's about to do something very good or very bad. In this sense, it's Rambo, so he's about to do something quite badass. Super simple. You see Stallone in all his manly glory, and I mean, you get the gist of it in a few seconds. But I mean, it's number 4 for me because there's not that much going on. Now, for number 3, I put down Raiders of the Lost Ark. I did because I really like how he did the lighting of the Ark of the Covenant. And of course, you have a few little nods to other characters in the bottom of it. But what I really liked about it is you have Harrison Ford and... I forgot her name. No, people will forgive me for this. You have the female lead of the movie in this poster. Just pretty simple. That's who they are, and that's the prize that they're looking for. Simple, but I mean, the way how he did the lighting on the arc itself really shows you it's important. So really, props to him for doing something, for thinking about that. Now, for number 2, I went with something I consider to be super iconic for the 80s, and that is Back to the Future. And I actually wanted to do a sort of like Back to the Future 1 and Part 2 and Part 3, but I thought it actually was better just to use the first one because it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the other 2 movies. And to be honest, the other 2 movies kind of just use the same gimmick. It's not stealing because it's just, it's clever, it's fun, and I think it's really cool. I mean, you have Michael J. Fox looking at his watch in the DeLorean with the flame trail behind him. Now, there was a story that Drew had to complete this in one entire day. He didn't eat, he didn't sleep. He hauled ass to finish this. Might be true, might not be, don't take my word for it, but still, cool backstory. I also like the way the light comes out of the DeLorean to show that, okay, this is a very high-tech machine. This is obviously super important. This is obviously the time machine he uses to go back to the future. So that's why I put it number 2. Just good composition, good use of lighting, really sets the mood. Now, for number 1, I went back to something pretty simple, but I mean, it's good because of its simplicity, and that is for the 1982 movie The Thing. Now, for people who haven't seen The Thing, it's a movie where researchers in the Arctic Circle discover a weird life form in the ice. They thaw it out, and it comes to life and starts attacking people. But the thing is, clever. The creature can actually take the form of whatever it kills. Not so much takes its form, but also just incorporates what it killed into its biomass. So it's a big mystery as to who the thing is, who is the next person to die, and a lot of lots of suspense. And I think the poster really lends itself to that because you have that frozen atmosphere of the figure all around it, and I do love the lighting that's emanating from the hood of the figure because it really gives you this sense of dread and ominence that, okay, we don't know who's who, and we can't exactly explain what this creature is. It leaves a lot to the imagination, which is actually something really good and something a lot of movie posters miss nowadays. And granted, a lot of movie posters use photos. Nothing wrong with that. Definitely nothing wrong with that. Just sometimes it kind of misses the heart. Also, a fun, interesting little fact. Drew Struzan is now retired. He did come out of retirement a couple of times, and that was, I believe, in 2019 for the movie How to Train Your Dragon. Okay, it was a computer animated movie, but it did a pretty cool poster to it. So it's a nice way of kind of showing, okay, yeah, animation's a lot of 3D stuff, but there's still room for the traditional stuff. And maybe obviously in time the 3D stuff is going to be seen as traditional, but you know what? I just look at the things that appeal to me, and I hope they appeal to you. And this was my top 10 of the coolest Drew Struzan movie posters. I hope people will be able to look at these posters or other parts of his work to get inspiration. Certainly has helped me with my work, and also it's actually doing this video has actually inspired me to get off my ass and kind of study those posters to see if I can use that same sort of composition to some of my own work. So I hope to have helped you today, or at least show you that I'm not all about complaining. And I hope to see you guys in the next video.